From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you with open arms to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault since it's Christmas time. Pick up a great book at We Read the Night. You can join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk keeps us up to date on the SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. Spooky things happen every day. Instead of brushing these peculiar moments and bizarre encounters off as chance or mere coincidence, what if we talked about them, mapped them out, and tried to decode the message? That's the reason Liminal Earth out of Seattle, Washington is around. Started by Garrett Kelly and Jeremy Puma, Liminal Earth started tracking the weirdness, dreams, coincidences, strange encounters on a personal level. One day, they had an idea to start putting up their experiences on a map. Garrett suggested, let's open it up to the world. So they did. This map on their website, liminal.earth, is an extension of that, which you can easily check out. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Jeremy Puma, it's been a while since we had you on the show, but it's great to have you back. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. It's really great to be back. We had so much fun the last time we were on the show. We've really been looking forward to coming back on and chatting with you.
Well, I'm glad that you are here as well, my friend. And you know, sometimes we all get a little busy. We all get a little bit tied up in our own actions, you know, but I've been following what you guys have been doing, you and Garrett down there in Seattle, because you guys are nice and close. And I got to tell you, you guys are really doing it, I think, the right way. You guys aren't ruffling feathers. You aren't coming up with opinions and promoting it as fact. You guys are just taking what you're given and just running with it. I think you need to be commended for that. I really do.
Wow, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we try, our whole theory is, we kind of explain the map to different people in different ways, so I found that one of the ways that's the most effective to explain it to people is a lot of what we're doing is kind of like folklore studies. We're collecting the stories. We're not here to judge your story. We're not here to say this is true or this is false. What we want to know, though, is, what is the experience that you've had? How does it affect you? And where did it happen? Right. So that we can put it on our map. So that's why it's open up to the whole world now.
Tell us how you and Garrett came up with Liminal Earth.
Well, we originally, we've been friends for forever, and I think we may have mentioned this on the last time we were on your show. We had been talking online on the internet for a very long time, and finally one day I said, hey Garrett, it looks like you're in Seattle. We should hang out sometime. We should go out for coffee or something like that. And Garrett said, yeah, that's so cool. That sounds great. Where do you live? And so we shared addresses, and it turned out we lived right across the street from one another. Like literally across the street, even though we have been talking for years on the internet. Now, we still primarily talk on the internet, but to show you that kind of connection that we have, we, in this sort of close way, we started this sort of project where we were recording each other, recording our dreams and odd, interesting things that happened to us in this database. And we thought, well, what if we took all this stuff on this database that happened to us and put it on a map? And then Garrett had the genius idea. He said, what if we take this and just sort of open it up to people in Seattle? Garrett has a relatively larger social media presence than I do. And so he thought, we thought like, oh, maybe a couple of our friends will put stuff on there. People will think it's interesting. But we put it out there and it exploded. People were really interested in this idea. And so, we got interviewed by the local press. We got on the local, evening news magazine. The Seattle Times did a front page story on the project. And then about 6 months ago, we started realizing that we're getting more and more inquiries from people who were saying, hey, I'm not in Seattle. I'm not in the Pacific Northwest. I had this encounter. I still want to share it. Can I put it on your map? And for a while, our party line was kind of like, well, I don't know if we can, do that. I don't know if we have the capacity for it. But one day we just said, let's do it. And we just opened it up to the whole world. And it's just kind of taken off everywhere since then. We've gotten entries from South America. We got a lot of Brazil. We got a lot in Europe. And it just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. If you haven't visited the site since the last time we were on the show, for your listeners, it's almost an entirely new site. So there's so much on there now.
Well, and that's what I noticed right off the bat, and I even mentioned it to you before we hit the on-air button, was I can't believe how that map has taken off, because you were on the show about 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, June. I think June.
And there was very few on that map, and now it is absolutely packed. Liminal.earth is the website. I got to ask you, though, when you reconnected with Garrett, did you know he was into the weird and strange, much like you were? Because that's usually a tough topic to have with someone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we knew. So we knew because we were, this was the heyday of blogging back in, I think we first all started around 2003. And it was Garrett and myself and a few other people. We just linked to each other's blogs a lot. And so we would sort of write blog posts about this kind of thing. And then a few of us just kind of kept going with it, even though, our blogs went dark, decades ago. A few of us just kept it up through email, and then we started talking, in chat rooms and on Slack. And so, yeah, we all kind of knew we were all into the same thing when we got started, for sure.
How important is it to be on the same page?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, the same page... I think what the important thing is about us and about our relationship, both our working relationship and our friendship, and this also includes the people who are now involved with the project, is that we always try to assume positive intent. So even if there's something that someone says that you disagree with, you assume that their intent is positive. They're trying to do something they think is cool and interesting and neat. And even when it comes to sharing stories of UFOs or cryptids or ghosts, that's kind of the approach we're trying to take with people who share their stories with us as well. We're assuming positive intent instead of immediately sticking our foot in the skeptical door. And, Garrett and I have always been able to do that with one another. And even though we are like-minded, even when we have disagreements on the nature of things or on how we want to move forward with this project, we always start on the footing of assuming that each other are trying to move things forward positively.
I can see that. Getting a little bit of feedback on your end a little bit here. Maybe I got to stay a little bit further away from my microphone. Maybe that's what's causing it. But Jeremy, in regards to the idea and the aspect of what you're creating with Liminal Earth, and I think it's fantastic having a place where we can, or anybody can, put their report on, no matter where you are in the world. I think it is necessary because there's a lot of inquiring minds. Are there topics on Liminal Earth that you will not use?
Not a lot. We tend to shy away from the true crime stuff. I know a lot of people are into that. We'll only really do sort of the true crime stuff if there is a paranormal side to it or a paranormal aspect of it. We don't like anything that is ultra personal. So, we don't want to publish people's addresses. We don't want to send, hey, this person had a ghost happen at their house. Here's their address. Everybody in the world, come and check it out. So, we won't put up any stories that actually are that specific as far as location. Or, we'll put the intersection closest to where it happened.
Right.
Beyond that, we want a full spectrum. We love ghosts. We love UFOs. We love cryptids. But we really are interested in stuff like the high weirdness, the dogs wearing shoes, the somebody saw a crow actually crossing across a crosswalk in an intersection. just these really sort of, they don't fit the usual category. No matter how strange it might seem, if somebody finds it amazing, then that's good enough for us.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The other thing that I like about what you guys are doing, not to blow sunshine up your butts or anything like that, but you're trying to do it an honest way. You're not prejudging people. And so many times in this field, whether it's UFOs, cryptids, ghosts in the paranormal realm, we have a lot of prejudgment. How have you guys been able to keep so calm and so level instead of bringing in your own opinion on thinking, well, that story seems like BS, we're not putting that on, or using your own editing skills because it may not be what you personally believe?
Yeah, no, that's very true. And we really tried to make an effort to approach these stories that way from the very get-go. And again, it comes back, I think, to that folklore thing, where you're not going to go and read a book of folklore, say like, fairy stories from England in the 1700s. You're not going to pick up that book and read it and think like, oh, this one's true. Oh, this one's not. No, I don't believe that one. It's stories. It's stories that gave people's lives meaning. And that's sort of what we're interested in investigating, is how do these stories give people's lives meaning? How do paranormal encounters change the people who experience them? And by giving people a place to share these stories and talk about them without feeling judged or objectified, we want to celebrate the fact that people are having these encounters in a way that enriches their lives. I suppose it could be said, sometimes they don't enrich your life. Sometimes they change it in a way that you don't necessarily like. But at the same time, these are stories that give people meaning. And that's important to us. That's what we want to express.
But with that, okay, there's always that little sense of, in the back of your mind, oh, this is such BS. This is, how could someone say this? I mean, we all have it. I have it too, and I try and call it as down the middle as I possibly can. But when you're allowing people to just post it, I mean, are there times or stories that you have, and maybe you could share one or two with us, that you just shake your head and and you're just like, man, there is no way this is even remotely believable?
It may be a matter of our personal approaches to it. It may be a matter of discipline after having collected so many. But in all honesty, no. I mean, personally, I don't want to approach these stories that way. And I can't think of any that are on the map now that I'm like, oh, no way, that can't have happened. We have stories that seem kind of, people might think they're absurd, but at the same time, we want to allow the fact that this kind of thing can happen. We don't want to come down on the side of belief or disbelief in any particular experience, because, I mean, crazy stuff happens all the time. And we know for sure that these stories are either true or false, right? It's got to be one or the other. And so what is interesting to us is that someone has taken the time to share the story with us. Now, I can share some of these stories with you, some of the more absurd and interesting ones.
Oh, give us a
let me give you one.
Let's turn the woo factor up a little bit.
Okay, yep. Let's see here. So I have a bunch of them that I thought might be fun to share here. And let's see. There's one I'm thinking of. Oh, here we go. This happened up north. This is actually from Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So this is
quite flat there.
Quite flat. Yep. And this is in Regina. And this is something that happened in August of 1999. So it says, this episode that happened to me and my friend Alice is really silly and weird and makes no sense of all. Which, you read that first line, we're like, that's perfect. So the reporter goes on to say, we were in the East Mall in Regina after most of the shops were closed, and we're taking a shortcut to the parking lot. The mall was open till midnight. We were alone, and there was a pharmacy we had to pass to leave the mall. It was closed, and a kind of trellis security blind over the whole storefront like the old-time elevators. Outside of this was a bubblegum machine shaped like an elephant, and about 6 feet away another machine where you put in a coin and the animatronic fortune teller would say something and you'd get your fortune on the card. So we've all seen these things, these like fortune teller booths where you put in the coin, yeah. As we were about to pass, the elephant machine lit up and said, "Ruth, I love you. I love you." My friend and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. Just as we were about to say something, the fortune teller animated and said, "Hello, Ruth." We laughed again and said, "Come on, whoever you are, we know you're there." However, when we looked around, there were no places where anyone could hide. We could see straight into the store, and the machines lit up and, in fact, were not plugged in, as the leads went into the store and we could see that they were unplugged. We didn't know how fast to get out of there. We just couldn't believe such a bizarre and meaningless thing had happened. It made no sense at all. Next day, we went back to the store and the machines were gone. I asked where the machines were and was given a vague answer about maintenance. And
interesting.
And that was submitted by, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correct, but Isini S. Yeah. So that is the kind of story that's really exciting to us because it's so weird and obviously had such an impact on the person who encountered it.
I don't know how I'd react to that.
We don't have any reason to disbelieve it. I mean, it's an interesting story, and to be perfectly honest, even if they made it up, it's kind of a cool thing to think that somebody would share with us.
Well, wasn't there a movie about that? Something like that happening?
Well, there was Big, that Tom Hanks one.
Yeah.
Where, they had changed, they changed his body, or no, he was a kid and then he became an adult, but he was still a kid in Tom Hanks's body. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember that. So when you get a story like that, obviously you have to pre-read everything before it's posted because there's always some idiot out there, and I'll use that term very loosely, who will try and slip something in that's maybe a little too perverse, a little too racial, a little too degrading, or anything like that. How often have you run into that? Where those situations happen?
Almost never.
Good.
I would say that 99.9% of the entries we receive are submitted in good faith by people who don't feel as though they have another place to share it. So, yeah, and we check for that. We do read every single one. We have about a week lag time between a submission and when it gets onto the map, just as a matter of logistics of posting it, but also so that we can read it and review it and potentially talk about it. And I still think to this day, I will tell you the ones that we tend to decline most frequently are plagiarized. So somebody cut and paste a Wikipedia article that they thought would be interesting. And, we just have to say, look, sorry, if you go to this place and check it out, come back and resubmit it. But we can't just take a cut and paste from Wikipedia.
Yeah. A little bit of plagiarism can affect very negatively. We've got about 4 minutes until we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Jeremy Puma from Liminal Earth is our guest tonight. Jeremy, as you start collecting these stories,
yes,
are there stories out there that you just from start to finish that just have you laughing?
Oh, laughing. Oh, yeah. There are some that are very funny. That I don't know if it's from start to finish, but some of our submitters are really their stories have punchlines. And it's really, really funny. I can. Do you want me to read one of these for you?
Sure. We got with 3.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should save it until after because it's not super long, but it would be funny to talk about. So we might want to.
Well,
it's up to you.
Why don't you read it now and then we can jam about it after.
Sounds good. So there's a famous hotel in Seattle called the Sorrento Hotel, and it's famous because are you familiar with Alice B. Toklas?
No.
She was apparently the originator of the pot brownie recipe. And this apparently is the hotel it's one of the hotels where she stayed. So the submitter says, Still slightly bleary-eyed from the previous night's Thanksgiving feast and accompanying drinks, my wife and I slipped into a Sorrento elevator and headed down to the hotel bar. We'd been to the hotel a few times at this point, having been captured by the charm of the old place and by the ghost that was said to frequent its halls. Inspired by a few cocktails, I decided that now was the perfect time to ask about the rumored spirit of Alice B. Toklas. I don't have much to offer outside of a few weird feelings and some strange noises, said the bartender, drying a champagne glass and sliding it into a stainless steel rack overhead. Some of my coworkers have had some experiences, though. As he began to share stories of wet footprints, faint apparitions, and flickering lights, another bar patron, seemingly compelled by a different kind of spirit, slurred in. That's all bull, she blurted from the end of the bar. Great way to sell rooms, but total bull, and you know it. And by the way, it's not just bull she's saying, it's worse than that. The bartender laughed. I can't argue with you, he said, because like I said, I haven't had any experiences personally. I just know that quite a few people here have. Unquilled by his diplomatic response, she continued venting her disbelief. As her voice grew louder, I began to regret my question. What had started as a fun conversation had turned into a booze-fueled debunking tirade against all things unexplainable. Just as it seemed inevitable that someone would ask her to calm down, Ms. Toklas took matters into her own hands. Untouched by any human hand, and far from any perceivable passing forces, a glass from the overhead rack jumped from the stainless steel shackles and smashed at the feet of the bartender. The bar went silent. Well, said the bartender, I guess I have my own story now. The end.
Go figure. Absolutely go figure. Well, you
it's like a
about a minute
punchline.
left. Fantastic punchline. I mean, there's nothing better than having somebody who is totally skeptical, has never had an experience, and then watching their reaction happen right in front of them. It is priceless. I had this guy on my ghost tour. Oh, goodness. It's about a year and a half ago. And literally he walked around the entire area with his arms crossed, not believing in this stuff. And we have this one room where we call the guy the Blue Man that's in there.
I like
one of the things he likes to do is drop cobwebs on people's face, or what feels like cobwebs. So when everybody walked into the room, I'm like, anybody get cobweb? They're like, no, we're in the room doing the investigation. This guy's still standing there, arms crossed. We walk out of the room. I said, okay, after you, Mr. Skeptic, and because I'm always the last one out of the room. And he walks through the doorway, and all of a sudden you see him rubbing his face. He got cobwebbed on the way out. It was absolutely priceless. Jeremy, hold on. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Jeremy Puma. Liminal.earth is the website. More fascinating stories right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. We want you to join the Space Travelers Club at $5 a month. Pick up a brand new book at We Read the Night, and Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is updated daily. From Liminal Earth, we have Jeremy Puma. The website, liminal.earth, has a great map of strange experiences from around the world, and we're talking about those tonight. Jeremy, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're
I understood we had a little feedback earlier. I'm hoping it's not as bad anymore. We'll see.
I think we're going to be good. Good. All right. And we see Garrett on there, hiding on Twitter. Garrett, I hope your beard is doing well, my friend. Hope it's doing well. I know he's going to be laughing over that one.
Oh, anyways, I'm sure he is.
Are you like me right now, knowing that we're all friends with John Tenney, and he's probably lurking in the shadows somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have your necktie on right now like Tenney does?
I don't know. Pacific Northwesterners, neckties, we don't get along very well.
I know.
I think, because I came from Florida, and down there, everybody, even when it's as hot as the dickens out, makes you wear all that kind of stuff. And, I appreciate John Tenney's sartorial excellence, but I could never aspire to that level of neatness, I think.
No, he's pretty tight on the tie. On the tie. We got to get together one time here on the West Coast, all of us, and we got to take a picture. We'll all be in our West Coast T-shirts because that's how we roll.
That's right.
And we'll all have neckties on.
Yes.
We'll raise a drink and an eyebrow to Tenney. We'll take a photo for him.
There could be an opportunity here for a line of John E.L. Tenney-inspired neckties.
Absolutely.
We could even cut him in
his
on
own design.
Yeah.
Well, he is quick on TeePublic, so you never know. You never know. All of a sudden, the neckties may show up there. Speaking of Tenney and that entire group, how did you get to know John, and as well as people like Greg and Dana Newkirk, who obviously are very proud to have released a week ago Hellier 2 series, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. How'd you get to know all of them?
Yeah, with John Tenney, it was pure providence. We've only ever experienced him through social media. Other than, being fans of his work prior, but he has been a big booster and supporter of our project since almost the beginning. And I don't necessarily know why, but ours is not to question why. And so ever since then, he's just been kind of part of our sphere of social media people. And he has submitted a couple of stories to our map, as a matter of fact. And I would say that his approach to investigating this stuff is very closely in line with ours. When he talks about, for instance, the ghosts of insects, or the fact that trees can move around without you noticing it, or that things are way more weird than people ever actually understand. But he's also a big proponent, which we like, of introducing the idea into the paranormal world of privilege, of how it's really a privilege for us to be able to do this, how certain people have the free time, and other communities don't necessarily have that time to contribute to these studies, and how that's a shame. So we need to bring more sort of marginalized communities into this community. So we appreciate that about Tenney, and he's just a really great guy who has done a lot to boost our project, and we'll always be indebted to him for that, I'd say.
Me too. I will never forget the one time, it was about 2.5 years ago, and I always remember Tenny being on Coast to Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, wow, this guy is just fantastic. And, oh, geez, this is going on about, I guess, almost 3 years now, where he messaged me. He says, hey, can I come on your show? And I was just like, WTF? You want to come on my show? I didn't even. I remember typing to him. I didn't even know you knew we existed. He goes, oh yeah, I've been listening for about 8 months. I just never comment. I'm like, oh, thank you. And that was my introduction to John, and I have just mad respect for him. Mad respect.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Much like I would say 99% of the people out there, except for maybe Chrisomania. But nonetheless, I think it's absolutely great that he's a real leader and pioneer in this field. Speaking of Greg and Dana Newkirk, have you been keeping up to date on the Hellier series?
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's kind of hard not to in this scene. And Greg and Dana, none of us know them personally, but I would say, I have been following their work for a long time. Back in the original days of blogging that I was talking about earlier, where Garrett and I were, writing about this stuff online. That was back when Greg had the site, the classic site whoforted.com. Charles Ford and Who Forded, and I'm sure your listeners are very familiar with that. And, so we would comment there relatively regularly, and, they don't know us from Pete right now, which is fine. But, we've been following them since and watching their progress. And it's been pretty amazing. And then when the first Hellier series came out, we all kind of glommed onto it and thought, this is something different. This is really cool. This is something that nobody's done before. We want to boost this, and we want to help them get the word out about it. So we would retweet them and talk about it, and then the second one came out last week. I can't believe it's only been last week, but it's really brought people together and really rallied people around this sort of new approach to documenting paranormal investigations. So it's really cool. And, we're not really friends with them on a personal level or anything, but being able to be in a sphere where their work is appreciated, is really cool. It's a really cool time to be, in that sphere at this time, I'd say.
I absolutely loved Hellier the first year. Mm-hmm. I really did. I remember binging on it for 5 hours on a Sunday afternoon, and I was just like, I need more.
Yes.
I need more of this. And Hellier 2 comes out, and, I don't talk to Greg and Dana often, maybe a couple times a year, because I know they're busy, I'm busy, but we have this very cordial, great relationship. And I can tell you, when Hellier 2 came out, I was just thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. And
yes.
I've seen the first 5. I hear there's a small, 4 or 5 second snippet of Spaced Out Radio, and I believe it's episode 6 or 7.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool, because that really caught me off guard, and I just found out about that. But I just think that they are on some weird trek trying to track down this Terry Wrist and David Christie and Indrid Cold and try and put it all together. What role does Alan Greenfield play? By the way, we just booked him for January 1st. That's how we're starting our new year, with Alan Greenfield.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I actually used to run in similar in very close circles with Alan Greenfield. I never met him personally, but my prior life to this, I was actually a scholar of Gnosticism, and I have a few books out on the subject. But it's definitely a prior life. I can still answer questions about it, but it's not something that I'm super involved in anymore. But the whole the independent bishop movement. Where they have, lines of secession, some of which may or may not include Aleister Crowley, and Greenfield is in that, and so he was friends of friends way back when. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago. So it's really interesting because I read The Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts when it first came out in like 1995 or something like that. And it was mind-boggling then, and then to have it come back up now has just been a real treat for me, having been involved in this sort of independent ecclesiastical scene for so long. So that's really, really interesting. He's an interesting guy for sure.
I always wonder if he is Terry Wrist.
Yeah, nobody asks him that. Maybe you can be the first. I've noticed that. I've seen him in a number of interviews and, on podcasts, and nobody ever seems to come out and say, hey, are you Terry Wrist? I don't know. Maybe it's bad form.
Well, I got to tell you this. I thank Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine for helping me line that one up, because I mean, he's just so eclectic and strange, and I think it's going to be like, we're talking some serious peak woo when Alan comes on the show. Yeah. Serious peak woo.
Absolutely.
We're not going to be able to deny that whatsoever.
No.
So I'm very much no, absolutely. Who knows? Maybe we'll make it a party. I'll get Tenny to call in or something.
There you go.
And Dana that night. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe trying to arrange something cool for that night. But nonetheless, I mean, when you look at Hellier, what do you think is happening with them? Do you think they're on a wild goose chase of the paranormal? Is it about goblins, or do you think it's about something more?
I think it's about something more, but I think that for me, what interests me is how deeply personal it is to them, to the people who are experiencing it. I think that it's, it could be an initiatory journey of some kind. It could be a ritual that they're going through. But what fascinates me is the idea that it's tailoring itself to them, so that if you or I were to go out and get these same leads, we would have a completely different experience. But Greg and Dana and, Carl and Tyler Strand and all these guys, and Connor, of course, I don't want to miss anybody. They are going through something that I think is becoming deeply personal, and they're sharing it with us. And so it's like a look into this very transformative experience that they're having, which I think is a lot of the appeal of this. And, I got to say, what it makes me think of is I'm pretty sure you had the to be perfectly honest, I forget the director's name, but the documentary that came out recently called Witness of Another World.
Yes.
The UFO documentary about Juan, who was the gaucho in Argentina.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen this documentary. And I tell you, anybody... Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's just phenomenal.
It's amazing. And what's really phenomenally cool about it is that about, a third of the way through, the director says, wait, this is not about the UFO experience that Juan had. This is about Juan. He may or may not have had this experience, but what this is about is how it changed his life, how it allowed him to find his own place in the world. And I think in many ways there are a lot of parallels between that and Hellier and what we're seeing with Greg and Dana. And the fact that they're able to share it with us in such a compelling way is just, it's almost a privilege, really, when you think about it, especially considering they're essentially making it available for free to anybody who wants to see it for free. So kudos to them for that. So, yeah.
Well, for those who are looking for it, it is on Amazon Prime right now in Canada and the United States. I believe Australia as well. In about 3 weeks' time, it will be released on YouTube. So you may have to wait. I know that I don't have an Amazon Prime account because I don't watch a lot of television or movies. So I'm waiting for YouTube to catch the rest.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for. So I know there are listeners who are like, well, where can I watch it? I don't have a Prime account. Got to wait a couple weeks, but nonetheless, it's going to be right there on YouTube. So make sure you check it out. I think that they are onto something that goes far beyond goblins. and
Yes.
UFOs
Yes.
and Sasquatch. I think those are just the lure of it all. I really do.
Right.
That's not taking away anything from the strangeness that is happening around Hellier, Kentucky, but I do believe that they are on a wild goose chase that probably ends up with something more psychological. What that is, I don't know, but there's a head game there. You know, I mean, a lot of the information that they have, it's almost like somebody's been able to read their own emails, their own conversations, watch them film on location, you know, has literally been stalking them in regards to this. And to me, as intriguing as it is, there's a little bit of fear factor that goes along with that as well.
Sure, yeah. Well, and, you know, I don't want to give out any spoilers, having seen, you know, more than you. But I will say this. I'll say that what they really have been able to accomplish is something, and again, so we have principles that we abide by in our approach. And one of the principles that we have is normalizing the paranormal. And that is finding significance, finding the phenomena within even the most mundane reality, you know, tying your shoes or looking in the mirror, or it's possible to find meaning in this if you approach it in a certain way. And I think they've done a good job accomplishing that. And then another one of our principles, probably one of the most important ones, we would say, is remythologizing the landscape or remythologizing the world. And the idea is that, you know, we've lost touch, particularly in Western materialist culture, we've lost touch with myth, with the stories that give us meaning. And they are very much creating a story that gives their landscape meaning. And by doing that and sharing it with us, they're allowing us to look at ways that we can remythologize our own landscapes and investigate our own sense of reality on a sort of deeper level than we're used to in the sort of Western materialist way. Which is one of the cool things about the map, is that it gives everyone the opportunity to sort of write their own myths and tell their own stories and allow these stories to impact them, even, you know, when they get up in the morning and take their kids to school.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting, and it kind of ties into our show tomorrow night, where we'll have David Paulides on the show talking about missing 411 hunters, as well as his brand new book that was just released last week, Missing 411 Canada. And when you look at these clusters that he has noticed and found with these strange cases of missing people, and you line it up to these tunnel systems or where they're near military bases, it is strange to see how all of these kind of add up together. Like, it just doesn't seem coincidental.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know? And, you know, we were, I think we were talking about it during the break. There's this meme sort of thing going around that, that shows a map of disappearances in the country and then another map of the cave systems in the country. And if you lay one over the other, that, you know, they line up, and that's very tied into sort of Hellier. And we're finding actually in some of our local investigations here in the Seattle area that we didn't realize until we started looking into this stuff that our area is riddled with abandoned coal mines.
I didn't know that.
No, not many people do. There was a lot of coal mining on the western slope of the Cascades, and a lot of the weird spooky stuff that we have over here. It's sort of, there's some really interesting and odd things that are happening around the areas where these coal mines were.
Have you ever taken the Liminal Earth map and lined it up to these people's maps?
No, but that's an interesting idea. I still think we're a little short on data. We have a lot of entries right now. We have over 400 entries right now. But if you really want something that is statistically significant, you got to have a lot more data than that. So people, submit your stories to us. The more we get, the cooler the data will be that we can collect.
Well, you know what? I think you should. Maybe next year at this time or in the summertime, lay your map over top. I'd be curious to see what those results are, man.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I think
that's a great idea.
I bet you there's some adding up. You guys are on the West Coast here. We got about 2 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Jeremy Puma is our guest. You guys being on the West Coast, what differentiates, and we'll talk about this in hour 2 as well, but what differentiates events or these stories that are, say, happening in the central part of North America to the eastern part comparatively to the West?
There's not a lot of difference. I mean, it's just location, but people have very similar experiences in a lot of different places. And this is actually, it's interesting. To open up another rabbit hole of inquiry here. One of the things we're wondering is there some kind of paranormal ecosystem? So like in nature, we have biosystems. We have, the idea that there's an ecosystem, that there are food chains, and that, in the forest, the plants drop their leaves and the leaves create mulch, and that allows the soil organisms to expand and propagate and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What if there's something like that in the paranormal world, where what we perceive as ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and time lapses and all of this are related to each other in a similar way, where they all sort of feed off of each other and create this network of experiences that allows the entirety of the paranormal realm to sort of holistically exist as a system. Is that peak woo enough for you there?
Well, with about 25 seconds to go before we go to break, I think that's some high quality woo.
Very
high quality woo, and that's exactly where we got to push it. I mean, we have people who expect woo here every night, so we got to make sure that we deliver in one way or another. Jeremy, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are going to go to break. Hour 1 wraps up with Jeremy Puma from Liminal Earth, their website, liminal.earth. They are a research group who's putting a really cool map together on their website, once again called liminal.earth, if you want to check it on out, of weird, strange stories. They're based out of Seattle, Washington. Yeah. Garrett couldn't make it because he's too busy combing his beard tonight, but Jeremy is here with us. He continues in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache. so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey, this is Canadian paranormal investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in, especially those on KDUN, AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF, AM 1560. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadrobulary. Quadrobulary is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault for Christmas, grab a Christmas book at We Read the Night, join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and of course, Captain Shirk has all of your news updated daily on the SOR Newswire. From Liminal.Earth, we have Jeremy Puma tonight. We're just going over a bunch of weird, strange stories on their website as they are mapping the world with weird and strange encounters. Once again, the website, Liminal.Earth. We appreciate it.
Yes. Submit your own story, too. Just go to liminal.earth/submit. Fill out a little form. It's very quick. And, it'll be on the map. We really, really, really want to collect some more stories.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. Now, right before the break, we were talking about maps and how next year at this time, you got to check your map and see how it lines up with something along the lines of David Paulides' missing people or the cave systems or whatever.
Yeah.
West Coast-wise, what are you getting a lot of reports out of?
West Coast-wise, again, in the United States, there's a very even keel of different kinds of experiences, I would say. Now, we have a number of categories on our map, so people could do like straight-up ghosts or classic UFO or cryptoids or time distortions. And so a number of people, a number of experiences we're finding fit multiple categories. So, it's not just I saw a UFO. It was like I saw a UFO that also had a time distortion with it, or I saw a cryptid that I can't explain, and then it was also this weird feeling like the place was a border between two worlds. So, as far as patterns, again, I think it's that data problem where we only have 400 stories and we need a lot more before we start seeing patterns, except there's an exception to that. It's not in the U.S. It's Brazil. Somehow we were picked up by a Brazilian show, a Brazilian YouTube paranormal show. They glommed onto the map. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was really cool because we started getting all these hits from Brazil and a lot of submissions in Portuguese. And almost all of the ones in Brazil were UFOs. They have a very substantial community of UFO visitations and visitors and sighters in Brazil. And it's true. If you look in the literature, there's a lot of evidence to back up the fact that Brazilians and UFOs sort of go hand in hand, like the state paranormal event of Brazil is the UFO. So, but you can go onto our map and you can go and you'll see in Brazil, like all the UFO. It's really, really fascinating stuff.
When you start seeing patterns like that, like in Brazil, where it's mainly UFOs that they are seeing, do you look for patterns around the world to see what is happening there? Like, are you getting a more paranormal out of the East Coast because it's so much older than the West Coast of North America? And there's so much more history and death and violence from the wars back in the 1800s and 1700s? Or are you seeing patterns of cryptids more in the central and the south? Ohio, for instance, which, I mean, I don't know what the hell is up with Ohio, but there's always something strange going on there. But do you see where I'm going with this? Because patterns always seem to formulate some sort of answer that we can't figure out as to why it's happening.
Yeah, I agree, but I think there are so many social components that go into this as well. For instance, I'll give you a great example is we started the map as Liminal Seattle. And for our first year we were Liminal Seattle, we accepted stories from like the greater Seattle metropolitan area. So if you go on our map right now and look for patterns, you're going to find a huge pattern, a spike of sightings of all kinds of different things in the Pacific Northwest. Now, it's not because more things are happening in the Pacific Northwest. It's because that's where we started. So the map was going for the longest for a year in the Pacific Northwest. So, of course, there are more stories there. Another example is, in older areas, in old parts of towns, we would find more ghost stories for sure. Out in the middle of the woods, we find more Bigfoot. In Brazil with the UFOs, is that because there are more UFOs in Brazil, or are more people in Brazil interested in UFOs and interested in reporting those? So it's really, really hard for us at this point to what's the word I'm looking for? To commit to any kind of patterns that prove any sort of data. And until we really, really get a lot more stories, I think it's going to continue to be kind of an open-ended question.
Do you see that as you move forward and your site becomes more popular, that these sorts of trends are going to continue, or do you think it's cyclical? Like, for instance, I realize that there's always going to be a little bit more biasness because you started with Liminal Seattle and all the reports that are there. But as reports start coming in, do you see any patterns of it being cyclical? Let's say on the East Coast it starts with hauntings and then maybe goes over to UFOs in another year. Are you tracking that mathematics as well?
We want to. One of the coolest things about our project, which is also one of the things that's been kind of a more difficult hump for us to get over, is that everything with this project happens so quickly that we are still trying to kind of catch up to it on our own. So, we initially were like, some friends will put their stories on here. It'll be kind of cool. But then, it kind of exploded. And so for instance, the software that we're using to create the map, if we had planned for the rapidity with which this would grow, we probably would have picked something different, some different software with some more sort of data compilation abilities, tracking, things like the time and day and location and stuff. But what I can tell you is that we're actually, one of the projects we're working on that we're very excited about is we're building our own mapping software. So Garrett is a master coder, which he would think was hilarious that I called him that, but I only know basic HTML, so anybody who can code anything is a master coder to me. And Garrett sort of is building apps that will eventually, hopefully within the next year, give us the ability to track way more precisely times and dates and locations. And, we can figure out if there's a flap. We can figure out if something happened here or something happened there, just by virtue of the actual software itself, which won't have the limitations that our current software has.
I can see that. I can see that. How much of a bigger task is that? Like, I'm not really a techie guy, so does it make a lot more advancements on the website that would need to be done?
I think it depends on how much trouble Garrett has getting his comb unstuck from his beard.
True.
Yeah, I can't speak to that myself, but I know it is possible. It's feasible. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that ultimately, because we are far more folklorists, we're far more collectors of stories than we are investigators. We do, try and get out there as often as we can to check things out that are local. So are you familiar with permaculture?
A little bit, yes.
So essentially it's landscape design. It's holistic landscape design. So the idea is that, you go in and you look at the landscape not as, if I have a house, I could plant some plants in front of it and see what happens. Or I can observe the land for a while, learn what thrives there, learn what kind of community of plants works in that system, make it self-sufficient, et cetera, et cetera. So it's sort of holistic landscape design. And what I really am interested in is approaching paranormal investigation in the same spirit. And what I mean by that is, for these reports that we get when we go out, I don't just want to have like EVP recorders or, EMF field detectors or, night vision goggles or any of that stuff you see. I also want to know, what was the weather on the day that this thing happened? What is the soil type? What is the bedrock upon which this phenomenon occurred? What kind of plants grow there? These are all interesting clues that can give us so much data about what is happening in the world where there's a paranormal biosystem, right? Have you heard of the stone tape theory, for example?
Yes.
Yeah. So limestone is supposedly, there's a theory that limestone picks up what we might consider sort of psychic phenomenon and records it, and then in certain conditions plays it back. Well, what if we find out, using these very sort of strict research observations, that as a matter of fact, more ghosts are seen in areas with limestone on rainy days in the fall? Right?
Okay. I'm following here.
That would be super valuable information, right? So the data that I think eventually I would like to collect is far more nuanced than what we could get just from a map entry. So I'm honestly not really sure where I'm going with this. This is kind of stream of consciousness. Working. Is it working? Okay.
Yeah, it's working for me. Hey, I got a question for you from Haderach in our Space Travelers Club. He is asking, do you guys see a pattern where people who have experiences with ghosts also have experiences with aliens?
I wouldn't say we see necessarily see a pattern, but I would say that in our experiences and our encounters and interactions with people so far, the walls are breaking down between the traditional categories and tribes of paranormal experiencers. So, I think at one time, and maybe in the last decade or so, that this has started to happen, but prior to the last decade or so, if you were a UFO guy, you were a UFO guy. If you were a cryptid gal, you were a cryptid gal. Never the twain shall meet. And the guys like John Millay and John Keel were considered way more fringy. But in our experience, and I think I would say a lot of this also loops in with John Tenney and the Newkirks and that whole crowd, is that way more of the people we interact with now are willing to say, oh, this could be related. These could be related phenomena. Or these could be different manifestations of the same phenomenon. Just because you saw a UFO, it doesn't mean that it's like strictly a UFO. There could be, a ghost element to that. There could be a Sasquatch-like creature that emerges from the UFO. A Sasquatch might be a ghost of a Neanderthal, or the borders are getting fuzzy, and that's something we're seeing more frequently, and it's really pretty cool, to be perfectly honest.
It's funny you bring that up, because I have talked to John Tenney and David Weatherly numerous times about this.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be this invisible thread that ties all of this together, that sews it all together. And it's amazing how many researchers out there are not even connecting the dots to it. They are so focused on ghosts or their Bigfoot searches or Dogman or pixies and UFOs and aliens, that they're not even seeing any of these patterns that are coming around. And I think that's a big mistake for anybody who is trying to solve this. And if you're not willing to look into that, what are you doing in the business?
Right. Yeah. And, another thing that I think, just personally, and this is pure personal sort of speculation on my point, I think a lot of the sort of reemergence or emergence of this, regardless of whether or not you think that the whole thing is some sort of crazy scam or something that's been run by the aerospace industry, Skinwalker Ranch. Like, I remember the first time I read about Skinwalker Ranch, it was in an issue of like 40 in Times, and it must have been like 15 or 16 years ago. And I read that and I was like, my mind is blown. There's cryptids, there's UFOs, there's ghosts, there's, time slips, there's et cetera. And that gets back to the point, I think, of the power of the story, is that even if it turns out that Skinwalker Ranch was all some sort of weird con that was put out there by Bigelow Aerospace, the tropes that are in it, the idea that all of these things could be occurring in this one pocket of high weirdness, really helped, I think, to break down the walls for a lot of people who might otherwise have, been the sort of stay in their lane types.
Oh, I get you. I get you on that. And I think they're doing a disservice, because if you look at it, so many people who have UFO experiences or see landings, especially if they're out in the wilderness camping or hunting or fishing, they always have some sort of Bigfoot activity as well.
Mm-hmm.
And ghosts always seem to be around when UFOs are around. We caught a picture. Good friends of mine, Mike Morin and Jeff Webster from Haunted Crew of Canada, caught a picture in one of our haunted buildings of an alien standing in the doorway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like, what's an alien doing there in a haunted building?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, these are questions that need to be answered. And if you're not willing to put anything together, like Mike, for instance, my buddy Mike, we call him Merle around these parts. You got to meet Merle. He's down near Vancouver. Yeah. And the way he looked at it is he never believed there was a tie between them all. Never believed it whatsoever. But the alien photo got him thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just those experiences have to pop up for people to get their heads out of the sand to try and figure this whole mystery out. It's not just a separate mystery, in my opinion. It's a culmination of mysteries.
Absolutely,
that lead down to one path. We got about 3.5 minutes before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Jeremy Puma is our guest tonight. Jeremy, you got any good cryptid stories for us?
Yeah. Let me find a good cryptid story. I've got a whole... here we go. This is a whole...
Like a plethora of them? Or?
A plethora. Yes, a plethora. Let's see here. There's the elephant machine one. Oh, man, a great time slip one. There's a good UFO one. So I printed a bunch of these out.
Well, let's go with the time slip one. That interests me.
Oh, you want a time slip one? Oh man, this is a really cool time slip one. This is very mysterious to us, and it has a Canadian connection.
Always.
So I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. So the title was Lucerne Valley Mirage Gas Station. This happened in the first week of June of 2008. So it says, while driving through the desert with my grandmother, our AC went out in her 2001 Honda Passport. It was incredibly hot. I am from North Carolina and was in California for my cousin's high school graduation. In 2008, I was a high school junior. I had just returned from a fishing trip in Red Lake, Ontario, before heading out to California. While in Canada, I had spent some time with some local Indigenous folk. For 2 weeks, I drank a type of local root beer with them. It was the best I'd ever had in my life. I consider myself a root beer connoisseur. With our AC broken and no beverages to quench our insatiable thirst, we decided to look for a gas station. Our GPS showed 0 gas stations around. Suddenly, a building appeared before us. It was a small building with an old-timey gas pump out front. The building itself was made of stones, smoothed out by years of flash floods. Inside the building was a single beverage stall. Inside the stall was a selection of bottled waters and that Indigenous Canadian root beer. Needless to say, I was so happy. Nothing seemed off about the store clerk or anything. I just couldn't believe I found this special root beer in the desert of all places. We continued on and went to my cousin's graduation. Afterwards, I decided we would drive back using the same route so that I could buy all of the remaining root beer. I just had to bring that magical beverage back home to North Carolina with me. I drove up and down this rural desert road 3 times. The Stone gas station wasn't there. I couldn't believe it. Maybe I'd taken a wrong turn. No way. There was only one road. I have since been back to the area 3 times. I literally asked every local I ran into about it. I always received the same answer. There is no Stone gas station.
Oh, that is weird.
Isn't that weird? I mean, I guess it might not be a time slip, but they thought it might be, the person who submitted it.
It sounds like it to me. Where would the store go?
Right. And it's similar, so one of John Tenney's submissions was about a diner that, he went to for a week and then went back to and wasn't actually there.
Yeah, that story tripped me out. Tripped me out. Jeremy, you hold on. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour here. Jeremy Puma from Liminal Earth is our guest tonight. We're going to get into more of these weird, strange stories that have been submitted to liminal.earth. Check out their map. It's pretty cool where these sightings are happening. And if you have an interesting sighting, you can submit it as well. Liminal.earth. We'll be back with Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Themer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you. No place I would rather be than right here, right now. Boy, that sounds like a Jesus Jones song from back in the day. 96, I believe. Anyhow, I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can also pick up a great book at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. And you can always stay up to date with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. From Liminal Earth down in Seattle, we have Jeremy Puma tonight. Yeah, he was supposed to join us, but Garrett Kelly decided that combing his beard was more important, so he left Jeremy all alone. Their website, sorry, Jeremy. I feel sorry for you. Anyways, their website, liminal.earth, and Jeremy's going to share some great stories that they have been sent on their great website, where they have mapped out where all these strange occurrences are happening around the world from people just like you who've had strange encounters that they want to discuss and write down. Jeremy, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, right before the break, we had a little bit of a time slip story that you shared with us.
Yes.
What else you got there that's juicy? Maybe a little
juicy.
Any time traveler or crab people?
No crab people, although, the giant shrimp in the laundromat we talked about last time we were on with you.
Yes.
Garrett, it's Garrett's favorite because it's in this town called Bremerton, which Garrett just moved to pretty shortly after we started the map, and he found a story about a 5-foot tall humanoid shrimp that terrified this poor woman who was doing her laundry in the basement of her apartment. And so we call it Shrimpy, and Shrimpy is kind of our mascot. And it's sort of taken off. Garrett sort of made it his mission to spread the gospel of Shrimpy as far and wide as he can. And so he's been talking to local reporters in Bremerton, the state representative to help make it the state cryptid, and sort of taking Shrimpy as far as he can go. I think the ultimate goal is to get the Bremerton High School to change their mascot to the Shrimps. And once he's done that, he'll be happy.
That'd be perfect.
Absolutely. So let's see. Let me see if I can find a good... Let's see. Oh, I got another one with kind of a punchline. So it's a ghost story. You want it's sort of a very classic ghost story. So here, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. It says, in the summer of 1987, when I was 27, I left my friend's beach house in Gloucester, Massachusetts, early in the morning during a rainstorm for a solitary walk on the beach. When I had walked past all the beach houses on my right to an area of sand dunes and marsh grass, out of this area came a man in yellow rain gear, looking and walking toward the waves, perpendicular to my course. As I got closer, I saw he was older with a gray beard, and that his rain gear was vintage Macintosh. He looked like some guy on a fish sticks package. But I'm going to pause for a second because that detail is so cool. He looked like a guy on a fish sticks package. Because you know exactly what the guy looks like now.
Captain Highlight.
Yeah. I was very into vintage clothing in those days, so I thought I would ask him where he found it. Closer, I saw a look of concern on his face, and that his gaze was fixed on the horizon to my right. Except there was no horizon because we were in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. I decided to merely compliment him on the rain gear. When I was 3 feet from him, I saw all the broken capillaries on his skin, as if he drank, and that his eyes were still fixated on that not there horizon, clearly upset, though there was nothing to see. So as I passed just behind him, I said merely, "How's it going?" He neither looked at me nor replied. When I had walked a few more steps, I thought, what is he? Too cool to say hi when we're the only two on this beach? I turned to look with resentment, but he was not there. I tried to figure it out. Could he have run all the way down to the waves? Was he trying to drown himself, hence the anguish? Baffled, I watched for his Macintosh hat to surface, and when it didn't, with my brain scrambling for an explanation, I thought, ghost. What nonsense, right? I turned around to find his tracks in the wet sand. Mine were the only set of tracks on that beach.
Nothing eerie about that.
That's totally eerie. That's really cool.
Oh, my gosh. How do you figure that? How do you figure that?
I know. And it's a great story. And another one that's sort of well written. And we get people who sort of almost have literary chops who send their stories to us. So they sort of craft the story and make it even more intriguing.
That's just amazing. I think that would scare the little bit of, that would scare the bejesus out of me. Let's just be honest.
See, that's the difference between, so Garrett, I hear that story and I think, oh man, I want to go check this out. Since Garrett's not here on the air with us, I can let everybody know that, he's kind of the scaredy cat when it comes to this stuff.
How much of this do you go investigate?
Well, we're restricted by geography. Until someone wants to give us money to travel around the world checking places out, we only are able to investigate the stuff that's relatively close to us. So we've gone a few times. We have investigated primarily rumors to see if they would be worth putting on the map as opposed to actual experiences. So we're currently involved in a search for the Screaming Well, which we may have been on this search the last time we were on as well.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Still haven't found it?
Still haven't found it. We're still looking.
Okay,
so it's a well, supposedly.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, no, supposedly. So if you go, if you do a Google search for the top 10 most haunted places in Seattle, most of the lists have this thing called the Screaming Well, which supposedly is a well that people have fallen into, and you can hear their screams coming out of it. And if you're not careful, their screams will follow you home. So reading this, I thought, man, we got to go find this thing. But the problem is that nobody really has the exact location of it. They have a very vague, it's south of Seattle. It's in the neighborhood, that the little town called Tukwila or Renton. But it's on private property, nobody knows where it is. So it's kind of our white whale, to be perfectly honest. So we've gone out on a few expeditions looking for the Screaming Well, and still haven't been able to find it. But I will say this. I'm starting to think that the Screaming Well is not an actual well. Because when you hear well, you think like Jack and Jill, right? Like the cylindrical stones with the wooden beams and the bucket that goes into it. But what if the well is actually the opening to an underground cave?
Could be.
And so the area where this thing is reported is the same area that's riddled with all these old abandoned coal mines. So what I'm wondering is the Screaming Well an actual well, like Jack and Jill got their water out of? Or is it like a gaping hole into the side of the earth? So we've been looking online. There's if you do your research, you can even find maps of the old coal mines that have the locations of the shafts. So our next avenue is going to be to kind of try and find where some of these openings might still be, to see if any of those are the Screaming Well. And we'll report back, of course.
Well, I hope so. All right, let's turn the woo back up. What other weird stories do you have for us to share?
Oh, let's see here. Let me reach into my bag of weird stories. That's one of the coolest things about this project is you can go, we have 400 stories, over 400 stories, and they're all weird in their own way. Oh, here's a good one. Here's an historical one. So this was submitted. So but this is a good time to bring this up. We have an ambassador program.
Okay.
So if you are someone who's really into this project and you are interested in representing your area, you can sign up to be a Liminal ambassador. And so basically it's pretty easy. You submit some stories, you join the Patreon, you complete a couple of really sort of simple forms, And you are then the representative for your area, and you can collect stories for us. So we have a number of these dedicated ambassadors now in different cities in the United States. And actually, we also have one over in the UK, Duncan. Hi, Duncan. And they're collecting stories for us. And it's really cool because they have access to things like neighborhood groups or local historical societies that we don't have access to from here. So we have this sort of vibrant community that we're building of people who are collecting stories to represent for the map. So this was actually submitted by one of our ambassadors. He's our ambassador to Massachusetts. A.P. Strange is his name, or the name that he chooses to go under as an ambassador. So I had never heard about this before, but it's the Black Flash. So 1938 to 1945. Between the years of 1938 and 1945, the Black Flash terrorized the citizens of Provincetown during the off-season for vacationing tourists. This phantom of Cape Cod's legend grew through repeated accounts from frightened townspeople who encountered the strange figure. In description, he was reminiscent of the British spring-heeled Jack. The Flash was described as being well over 6 feet tall, wearing a black hood and black cape. His face was also black, although his eyes were described as being silver. He is said to have been able to leap over 10-foot fences, run very fast, and in at least one account, spit out blue flames. The police were kept busy in the fall and winter months chasing the Black Flash around town, sometimes getting simultaneous reports from 2 different locations. The first encounter with the Black Flash was reported by Maria Costa on Commercial Street, in front of the town hall. He had leapt out and spread his cape like bat wings and menaced her by leering over her. She described him as being 8 feet tall. The final encounter with him was in 1945 when a young boy dumped a bucket of water on him from an attic window in the freezing cold. For the years in between, the Flash was known to chase, harass, hit, or grab at his victims. It's entirely likely that one or more pranksters shared a costume and a love of messing with the people of Provincetown for the 7 years the Black Flash was active, but it's a weird story nonetheless. Most of the antics ascribed to the Phantom would require either extraordinary athletic ability, supernatural powers, or perhaps exaggerated storytelling on the part of the witnesses. There may still be people who know who the Black Flash was, but it may just be more fun not to know. And I had never known that.
Now, do we believe he's human or just a humanoid?
We don't know. I mean, it's similar to Spring-Heeled Jack. You know, what is it? But this is a story that was kind of, lost to the world of the paranormal until our ambassador submitted it to the map. So the Black Flash rides again.
That is weird, man. Weird. We got about 8 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. We got time for a couple more of these stories. These are fantastic.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
So, here's a kind of a crossover one from another one of our ambassadors. This is our ambassador, Ami, and she is in North Carolina.
All right.
And are you familiar with the Brown Mountain Lights?
Yes.
Many of our readers might be people. Actually, they are mentioned in Hellier, Brown Mountain.
Yes, they are.
So she kind of has her own paranormal investigation group going on, and she submitted this to us, which is very interesting. So she drove up to the location and pulled up. There were 4 other cars in the parking lot. With my lights still on, I noticed that everyone was crowded just a little past the sign for the Brown Mountain Lights. It looks like everyone sits next to the stones on the overlook edge, next to a USGS benchmark. The crowd of about 8 people didn't take kindly to me or my little dog stumbling around in the dark near them, trying to take photos of the night sky and observe possible Brown Mountain Lights, so I walked a few feet down from them and tried to set up my tripod and camera. After about 15 minutes of nothing, not a single light, I decided I should head back to the van for a snack. I walked past the people, past 2 cars driving away, and towards my van. As I was getting closer to my van, I noticed picnic tables to the north. Since there's no light out there, you have to rely on the dim light of your smartphone or the lights of any passing vehicles. Sitting at the picnic tables was a figure. It wasn't sitting at a table, but on top of a table. I could just barely see the outline of the figure. It was wearing a brownish-gray hoodie the hoodie over their head. They were curled up, knees tucked with arms wrapped around them. The figure's head was down, and it was almost like they were crying. I started to say, "Hey, are you okay?" and walked towards the figure. And walked towards the figure. A passing car with its brights on blinded me, and as my eyes refocused, the figure was gone. I looked around. Nothing. Nobody was at the picnic table area. I looked back behind me to see if maybe the person walked back over to the crowd of other people, only to see there were only about 4 people over there. There was nobody else around, and unless that figure jumped off the overlook or silently ran into the steep brush at the side of the overlook cliff, the figure vanished. Later, my husband asked me if I saw the kid in the hoodie, and I told him about what I saw. He saw something different. He said every time he was near that spot, in his peripheral vision, he kept seeing a kid in a hoodie on the picnic table. But every time he looked over there directly, it was either too dark to see clearly or there was nothing there. So it was like a ghost at the Brown Mountain Lights.
See, and that's where we get into what we talked about earlier, about tying all of these little incidents together.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine, though, that you go to see these UFOs, these sort of weird lights that are appearing in the sky above a mountain, and instead you encounter, a fairly, I'm not going to say cliched, but sort of a standard ghost sitting there instead. That's really cool.
At least it was a friendly ghost.
Well, yeah.
Relative Casper there. That's the main thing. Do you ever ask follow-up questions to these people who submit these stories?
From our ambassadors, we tend to, because there's...
you kind of moved away from your microphone. We lost you there for a quick second.
Sorry. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so our ambassadors, we can ask follow-up questions to. But, unless people are willing to... We get so many of these stories now that following up with a lot of them can be kind of time-consuming.
I believe it. But let's continue on to the story route here. I'm just intrigued listening to these.
Yeah. All right. How many papers are following? We've done that one. I know a good one. So here's one of the ones from Brazil. One of the ones that's not a UFO story. Now, keep in mind, our wonderful submitters from Brazil, 90% of them submitted in Portuguese. And so we had to rely on Google Translate to translate their story. So this one might, the translation might be obvious here. But
okay, this
is from a place called Criciúma in the Santa Catarina state of Brazil. It says, I live in front of an ecological park with about 100 square meters. And sometime this year, me and my 2 other friends heard noises. Not usual, because we always go inside, and the local animals are just birds. But every day when I go out at night, we can hear heavy noises inside the woods. We think it's like a person, but the thing moves very fast. There are no trails, but the sounds sometimes sound like they're climbing trees and moving through the brush. After leaving one day, me and my other friends were out at 2 a.m. We were followed from inside the park, and the thing ended up stopping right in front of my house, and the noises got closer and closer. We looked out, and we saw twigs and swaying trees. We heard lots of grunts, the sounds of something eating meat and breaking bones with a strong rotten smell. And behind a tree, we saw a thin, long, gray arm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nothing Bigfoot about that.
No, nothing creepy at all. And, it's Brazil, so this is like the rainforest, very creepy.
Well, I mean, we're all in a rainforest here on the West Coast, though.
Well, I guess that's true.
and you'd have to think that Sasquatch would be down in the Brazilian area as well, with the amount of forest down there in the Amazon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine if there's cryptids on this planet, that are hiding someplace, that would probably be one of the places that they would be the most likely to be found.
For sure. Absolutely, for sure. He didn't get another look at it, or that person didn't get another look at it besides the arm, or they got the hell out?
Well, it was near their house. I mean, he lives on the edge of this thing. So, that might be one that's worth getting in touch with the person again, but the language barrier might be tricky. So if anybody...
Doesn't sound like he's going out in the forest anytime soon.
Yeah. But if anybody speaks Portuguese who wants to help us get back in touch with this person, get in touch with us. We'll see if we can find out any more about this cryptid.
Is it more intriguing for you and Garrett to hear stories from out of country like that, to get a completely different perspective from a foreign land?
I don't know if it's more intriguing, but it's definitely very interesting to see. The language barrier is probably going to be one of our issues going forward, because we really, really want to get stuff from all over the world. But, the number of countries in Africa and the number of different countries and cultures in Asia, they might make it kind of difficult for us to collect from those areas just because of the language barrier. So we want more. We want more cultural context. We want more people because, I think that the paranormal world that we're used to here in the English-speaking West is such a tiny fraction of what's really going on all over the world. And I think it's to our detriment as English-speaking Westerners to ignore, I'm thinking like the whole TTSA thing.
Right.
Tom DeLonge and all that stuff. Like, how much of that is actually really substantially significant around the world? Is there a TTSA equivalent in Russia that we don't know about just because we don't speak Russian and don't follow the Russian scene? It's really hard to say. So the more submissions we get from around the world with our map, hopefully the more bridges we'll be able to build with other communities around the world who are studying similar things.
Well, we're soon going to find out, because we also got to remember now that, according to Tom DeLonge, TTSA is not a UFO group.
Oh, of course not. No.
Not a UFO group. Yet they still keep talking UFOs. Go figure.
Yes. Yeah.
More stories from Jeremy Puma and Liminal Earth. I love these stories. We got them for another half hour before we get into the news and the thought of the day, as hour 3 is right around the corner on Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate you tuning us in, especially everybody at UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadrobulary. Quadrobulary is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault for Christmas. Grab a Christmas book of the paranormal at We Read the Night. You can also join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is updated daily. For the final time tonight, we introduce Jeremy Puma from Liminal Earth, great information group out of Seattle, Washington. Their website, liminal.earth. You got to see the map they are building. It's on the homepage of the website, liminal.earth, because they show where all of these weird, strange occurrences and experiences are having and happening. Jeremy, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I want to start off with a question from the SOR Space Travelers Club from Christopher. Oh, pardon me. That's from Haderach. I apologize. He's asking, have you had any stories about evil spirits where particular smells were involved?
Oh, that's very specific. Off the top of my head, I couldn't say. I could do a search on the site and try and find out. It sounds like, it sounds like something that we probably do have on there. But if you go to our site, you can actually do a search. We have a search bar, liminal.earth, and plug it in the search bar, do, smell or odor or something like that, and see what pops up. We can do it. Let's do it live. Let's find out. Let's see. Liminal.earth. There we go. So I'm just plugging in our website here, and then there is a search in the upper right-hand corner. Let's try smell. Smell, not small, smell.
We should have a Jeopardy song on.
Yeah. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so there's a number of stories that come up that actually have smell associated. I'm not going to read them all right now, but I encourage you to visit liminal.earth, type in smell or odor or anything like that, and see what you'll pull up. There's a few on there.
All right, let's go over to Twitter. Got a great question, and I agree with Greco on this one. He's asking, do you believe in disappearing trees, much like what John Tenney has been investigating? Goes on to say, this is one of the most fascinating paranormal things I've ever heard.
Yeah. I believe and disbelieve, I'm not sure. But first of all, look at the source, John Tenney. We know that, he is a pretty reputable guy. That guy's not a liar. And I'm, if for those of you who don't know, check out John Tenney's work on these trail cams that he has set up, and trees just kind of disappear. And so, what is it? Is it like are the trees moving, or is it like a time slip kind of thing? I don't know, but what I do believe, and what I think might encourage people to look at, is the idea that the paranormal isn't necessarily restricted to humans. So I personally am a big proponent of the idea of ghost insects. And, anything that is imbued with this sort of life force that things have, it stands to reason that when it loses its physical form, may manifest or continue in some way in a non-physical way. And that if you are walking through the woods and you feel yourself brush up against something and you turn around and there's nothing there, perhaps it is the continued existence of the life force of a plant. Or if you are lying in bed and you feel something crawling on your arm and you turn on the light thinking it's a spider and there's nothing there, perhaps it was a spider that you killed once, coming back to crawl on your arm to annoy you.
Could well be.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason that this isn't the case. I mean, I think that one of the things that we propose is that the idea of a separation between the world of spirits and our world is a very sort of modern Western idea, that the separation or the veil or the border between them, which actually is the liminal, is an illusion, that the world of, you could call it the spirit world or the other world or the other realms of the fairies, like they actually exist simultaneously with us. And you don't have to go visit it all the time. It will visit you sometimes. And that's just the way it is. It's like, what's really the border between nature and non-nature, if you think about it? People talk about nature as a thing that you have to go visit. Like, oh, get out of the city, go visit nature, go visit, take a vacation in nature this spring. But really, nature isn't a place that you go to. Nature is something that exists all around you. It's manifesting in a different way because of your relationship to it. And the spirit world and the world of the paranormal is identical to that. It's manifesting in a different way in everyday reality because of our relationship to it. So yeah, I mean, the idea that there could be like trees that move or ghost insects or ghost ecosystems. And when you get really into the weeds, literally and figuratively, you can talk about what if there's ghost moss? What if there's, and it can lead you down some interesting paths. Yeah. So I would say, yes, I believe in moving trees.
I do too. I got to test this out. I just got to go pick up a trail cam that can sit outside in our weather conditions for about 8 hours. Yeah. I want to see this happen. I really do.
Yeah.
Bring it on. One frame, the tree is there. The next frame, it's not. And the following frame, it's gone again, or it's back again. Like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, anything is within the realm of possibility. Because it's all a matter of perception and how we choose to view it and participate with it. And the question, and the issue that we keep coming back to, and I was talking about this at the beginning of the show, and I think it's worth revisiting, is it doesn't matter so much whether or not I believe in moving trees. What matters to me is, what does it mean to me, that story? So what if it is true? What does that mean to me? How does it impact my life? Is it just like, oh, that's interesting, it might happen? Or will it actually influence my relationship with the trees when I'm out walking in the forest? That there might be a life force or some sort of sentience that we don't get manifesting in some way that will make me respect that entity even more and bring me closer to a connection with, say, the natural world in the case of the trees.
All right, let's get to story time here. What do you got for us?
All right, let's see here. So this is a cool one. This came from another one of our ambassadors. This is Holly. Hi, Holly. She is the ambassador for Southern Indiana, and she submitted some amazingly cool stuff to the map. So if you're on the map, go to Indiana, check out the stories there, and you'll find some cool stuff. So this is a personal one that she submitted. And this is September 15th, 2016. So they just moved into a new house. She says, when we moved into the house, my husband swore up and down that the place was haunted. I worked full-time, and he was a stay-at-home parent. He claimed that he heard all kinds of weird pops, clicks, voices, and experienced things moving in the house while I was at work. About a month after we moved in, my husband unearthed an old headstone in the backyard while doing some cleanup. It was badly worn and difficult to read. However, when we propped it up on the porch, the evening sun hit it just right so that we could read the words on it. It said, Robert C. Wright, August 1914 through February 5th, 1917, at rest. Immediately, we were concerned that there was a child buried in our backyard, but some emails and phone calls made to the local historic society produced some death certificates that showed that the little boy was actually buried in an Oddfellows cemetery about an hour away, over the state line. I contacted the last living relative, now in her 80s, about it, and she had no idea why his stone was in our yard. The house was built by the husband of little Robert's older sister. About a week after we found the stone, my husband heard very clearly a child shout, "Help! Move!" He was a bit shaken up about it. We eventually returned Robert's stone to his cemetery, where his grave had remained unmarked next to his mother since his death. We hope this made him happy. Maybe this was the move the child ghost shouted about.
Oh, that's creepy.
Isn't that cool? And if you go to the site, she has pictures. There are pictures on our website. You know, look up, you go to Indiana and look up headstone. You can see the pictures she has of not only of the headstone, but she is an amazing researcher, and she did her due diligence and found a picture of the child, you know, an historical picture from the day. So, yeah, that was a really, really cool story.
I wonder if the activity stopped.
Apparently it did, but I know that they've since moved houses. So,
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Really, really cool.
All right, what else you got for us?
So I got, how about a UFO story?
Always good.
This one is cool because it was a random person who just found us doing a web search because they had no other place that they felt comfortable submitting their story, which is exactly the kind of people we're looking for to submit stories to us. So this is from a place called Kaplan, Louisiana, and it's on the Gulf Coast of the U.S. It says, I am only submitting the statement of a suspected UFO activity off in the distance in the sky, which I consider over the Gulf of Mexico. I saw this activity while sitting on my rear porch at about 9 or 10 p.m. I live on a 40-acre plot with my house in the middle of a field with wood and bayou on the south side of my property. There is a small town about 8 miles south toward the Gulf. The Gulf is about 25 miles south. Very little light is cast on the night from the town. I saw a group of what appeared to be 8 to 10 very fast-moving lighted mobile vehicles in a fairly tight battle with each other, chasing and maneuvering away and toward each other. It was visibly hard to tell if there were munitions or other weaponry used. They were very fast in their maneuvering in circular loop-type retaliation or aggressiveness toward each other. It was a cool night for a change here in southern Louisiana. So just watch the show for a while and then ask my wife to come. You have got to see this. We watched for another about 5 minutes, then they dispersed quickly and disappeared. I do regret not noting the date and exact time. I don't think I ever mentioned it to anyone because the reply would have been, yeah, right. I have been bothered by seeing this and looked for anything in the media about it. I never saw or heard anything. I am now only putting this out to your site because the U.S. Navy has recently declared some sightings by some pilots have been truly declared UFOs. The objects we saw did not look like the big oblong figures I saw put out on recent TV news. What we saw appeared to be deep in space, but if we could see that with the naked eye, it couldn't have been very deep. I am a semi-retired oil field equipment merchant, and my wife is a 33-year retired school teacher. I had no way to get picked at night. I mean, that
Wow,
is a
senior
genuinely honest report. Like, that's somebody who saw this. There's no doubt in my mind that these people saw this thing happen.
Well, seeing a fleet of them doing maneuvers, that's kind of weird. I mean, to me, if it's not UFO, it would seem almost like some sort of strange drone drill by the military.
Yeah, but what's interesting to me is that, we can actually thank I suppose we can thank the TTSA people for releasing the Tic Tac videos.
Hashtag I thank TTSA.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because that's what made these people come forward and want to share this story. And it makes me think, I don't know, have you ever been to the Gulf Coast of the U.S. down there?
No, I've never traveled there.
It's long stretches of dark swamp. You can go for miles and miles and miles and just nothing. And what it makes me wonder is how often does this kind of thing happen, but it doesn't get
No kidding.
And they're out there sitting there in the dark. They see this thing happening, this sort of battle of UFOs, which, if you're in the field, it reminds you of sort of, the Battle of Los Angeles or the sightings over DC in like 52 and, where there were like fleets of UFOs. But how much of this stuff happens that we don't see because, it's in the middle of nowhere and people aren't comfortable sharing it?
Probably the majority of the sightings out there, my friend.
Absolutely.
We've got about 5.5 minutes. I think we can squeeze in a couple more stories.
Oh, gosh. Let's see here. This one has a picture involved, so we can't do that one. How about a Tenney story?
Perfect. Run with it.
All right. So this was submitted by John E.L. Tenney. It's a story from Detroit in the 50s. And it's called The What's It. It says, in the late 1950s, residents of the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan told stories to their friends and neighbors of seeing a large rat-like creature that walked upright. William Lieberman of Huntington Woods said the creature attacked his dog and during the fight leaped over the fence of the backyard and vanished into the night. The What's It, as newspapers called it, was said to have enormous ears and a long tail. Over the course of 3 weeks, it was spotted by a number of witnesses. Eventually, the What's It was caught. Police officer James T. Mavis of the Huntington Woods Police Department thought the strange animal was a type of chinchilla, although he said the only chinchilla he had ever seen was in an encyclopedia. The police department fed the What's It dog food while they waited to turn the creature over to the Detroit Zoo. Later in the day, a zoologist arrived and could not immediately identify the creature. Possession of the What's It was turned over to the Detroit Zoo, and strangely, the creature was never mentioned again.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah, right? Turn it over to the zoo, and then it vanishes.
Almost like handing something over to the Smithsonian. You never see it again.
That's right. You know where it is? It's in that warehouse from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Probably.
It's in there's boxes and boxes and boxes, and somewhere in there is the mummified remains of a chinchilla from Detroit.
one big chinchilla, that is for sure. What else you got for us, my friend?
How about one more? It's a long one, so we'll do one more. And I find this one kind of creepy.
We got 3.5 minutes, so that should be perfect.
Okay. This happened in Maine, 1985. This happened to me when I was 15 years old in the spring before I left home for good. I grew up in Maine. For those of you who think a trip to the Cascades is getting back to nature, Maine is the forest primeval. Albion was the name of my hometown, founded in 1754. Its only claim to fame is as the birthplace of Elijah Lovejoy, the first recorded American martyr for the press. The inhabitants had long since forgotten the significance of the town's namesake and had allowed the burg to fade into the kind of decaying, vapid decrepitude one expects from such tiny, isolated hamlets. It was part H.P. Lovecraft and part Salem's Lot, without the literary references and artistic punch of either. Most people think New England has 4 seasons, but Maine actually has 2, winter and several weeks of very chilly weather. There's also a sub-season known to most locals as mud. Once during the first week of mud, Some high school friends and I went off into the aforementioned forest primeval, engaged in our primary occupation, avoiding school. We left town by way of an old logging trail that ran behind the general store and cut across thawing farmland and thickets until we reached the edge of Fowler's Bog. This was a vast expanse of dense marshland which stretched from Albion to the Unity town line 8 miles away. In the winter, when the bog was frozen, you could walk, ski, or snowmobile across its surface safely, but for the rest of the year it was as treacherous a piece of ground as you could wish. We skirted the edge of the bog for several miles, admiring the first signs of spring, or very chilly weather, in the forest around us. Finally, we reached our destination, an old, tumble-down hunting cabin along the edge of the bog, its boards weathered and gray in stark contrast to the emerging greenery of the woods. We remained there for several hours as the sun made its way quickly across the sky, talking, joking, and speculating on the quality of existence outside Albion and Maine. Dark came early at that time of year, and before too long the shadows were lengthening rapidly as the sun began to slide down behind the trees. Now, we'd literally grown up in those woods and knew them very well. Fowler's Bog and the surrounding forest held no secrets for us. More than once, we'd navigated our way home well after dark without so much as a stubbed toe, but not this time. Somehow, our group became separated. Maybe the others left us behind intentionally. Maybe we just weren't paying attention. I don't know. But it was nearly full dark when my friend Matt and I realized the others were not to be seen. We laughed about it, thinking they'd either gone ahead to lay an ambush and scare us as we made our way through the dark woods, or they'd taken a wrong turn somewhere up ahead and would no doubt catch us up later. So we continued a pace, talking and laughing, until Matt stopped and jerked his head up and asked, "What the hell is that?" I looked to where he pointed. I have seen bears, moose, wolves, coyotes, porcupines, foxes, deer, raccoons, and bobcats, all in their natural habitats. I have seen some weird things in those woods, things I cannot to this day adequately explain. This is one of them. I can still recall the unfamiliar feeling of abject terror. It was the first and only time in my life I've ever been utterly helpless with fear. It was quite big. It was very, very black. And it made the most terrifying sound I have ever heard in my life as it made its way through the underbrush, not 20 feet away from where we stood. We didn't see it clearly thanks to the darkness and intervening foliage. It crossed our path and went down into the bog, still making that noise. Then we heard a muffled splash. Later, we agreed it must have plunged into the bog at a deep spot. I never told my parents, but Matt told his, and, being members of the landed gentry, they called the local sheriff, who took us out there a couple of days later. Matt's parents came with us. We found the place easily enough, and there was plenty of evidence of the thing's passage. A swath of crushed forest underbrush crossed from the tree line down to the bog. Had we wished to, we could have easily followed it back into the forest. But the sheriff said it was a trail left by a couple of big bears, and said we were lucky not to have been charged.
And right there, we got to cut you off there, Jeremy. I apologize.
That's all right.
Jeremy
that's all right.
Puma, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today. We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, reminding all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Pick up a great book at We Read the Night. And don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. Speaking of the news, it's that time of the night again. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show. We get to the weird, the strange, sometimes those head scratchers that we just cannot explain, like in Norfolk, Virginia. A Virginia woman and her family have gifted coats to homeless people by leaving the winter weather gear hung around the city for years. But they may soon now have to change tactics. Why? Brenda Parker says she was told this year that the tradition is considered littering. You got to be kidding me. Littering? They're gifting coats, people. Yeah, apparently Norfolk instead wants Parker to work with an outreach program. City spokeswoman Lori Crouch, we call her Scrooge around here, says that would ensure the coats are delivered in better condition than if left outside. Parker started the tradition on a snowy day when she was cozy inside her Norfolk home and realized others weren't so lucky. She says she started taking in extra coats and then hung them around the city. Each includes a note about the coat's intended purpose. She says the coats are usually claimed within days. You know, this is a great idea. In my community, they do that with scarves. You can walk down the main drag right now because it's pretty darn cold out. All right, it's well below 0 Celsius here, so well below 32 degrees Fahrenheit here. Probably in the low 20s, high teens right now. And they do that around my community with jackets and scarves. They'll wrap a jacket around a pole and they'll zip it up. It's a great idea. Great idea. It's amazing how politicians always have to try and ruin something good, isn't it? Like we got bigger things to worry about than somebody hanging a jacket for someone who is cold outside. Maybe doesn't have one. Maybe they were robbed and don't have one. Maybe they can't afford one or afford one for their child. But no, we got morons like the Grinch there in Norfolk who wants to get rid of this because it's considered litter. If you can't define litter from a coat hanging with a note on it saying what the product is for and it's free, you better go back to school, Grinch. You better go back to school because you're really, really pushing on the sides of moronic here. Oh, things like that piss me off. Piss me right off. Let's head to Cairo, Egypt, where motorized rickshaws, known as tuk-tuks, have ruled the streets of Cairo's slums for the last couple of decades, squeezing through dusty alleys, dodging trash bins and fruit stands, blaring rhythmic electro-pop and navigating the city's chaos in haul of millions of Egyptians every day. Now the government is taking its most ambitious stand yet against the polluting three-wheel vehicles. In a push to modernize the country's neglected transport system, it plans to replace tuk-tuks with clean-running minivans. This is for the health and safety of all Egyptians, says Khalid El Qasim, the spokesperson for Egypt's Ministry of Local Development, which is spearheading the initiative. We're creating a more beautiful image of our country. The state has long turned a blind eye as tuk-tuks became part of the fabric of life in Cairo's vast informal settlements. The new plan requires the drivers sell their tuk-tuks for scrap, and take loans to buy new minivans or risk fines and even prosecution. It raised fears that the poorest Egyptians, already squeezed by economic austerity measures, will shoulder the bulk of the burden. I'd rather work as a thief than pay for this minivan, says one driver. Makes about $8 a day, plying the densely packed district of Shobra in his weathered black and yellow tuk-tuk, sporting a decorative Islamic sticker in its license plate area. If they take this away, how is my family going to eat, he says. Even with a government loan, he says he wouldn't be able to afford the £90,000 he estimates he'd need for the new minivan. They'll bring money to all the banks at all the expense of the people, declared Mohammed Zaidan. Yeah, he's a father of 5 who started driving a tuk-tuk after struggling to find work as a painter. If they ban the tuk-tuk, they trample on the poor. Former President Hosni Mubarak's government tried to stem the tide of tuk-tuks, banning them in most of Cairo's affluent neighborhoods, but it was also allowed tuk-tuks parted to flow from Southeast Asia to Egypt, where auto manufacturers legally assembled and sold the unlicensed vehicles. It was a classic example of the state's contradictory approach towards the informal economy, which accounts for more than 50 to 60% of Egypt's GDP. Wow. They're going hard on this. Going hard. All right. Let's head over to India, where one of that country's best known and certainly most entertaining godmen has apparently sought to set up a country of his own. Nityananda, who has been on the run after the parents of some inmates of his facility accused him of child abuse, has reportedly sought the United Nations recognition of Kailasa, a private island somewhere near Ecuador or Trinidad and Tobago. Since it's not every day that a self-styled incarnation of God gets to set up his own country, Quartz India felt it could help this fledgling nation in its first steps by suggesting a preamble to its future constitution. We modeled it on one of the prefacing the esteemed Constitution of India, the God-man's country of origin. All the noble goals included in this preamble are borrowed from the contracts volunteers were reportedly made to sign within Nityananda's organization. Yeah, got to sign a contract to be a part of him. What does that contract say? We, having solemnly resolved among ourselves to constitute Kailasa into a haven of perpetual volunteers, and to secure all its citizens, ecstasy, male and female, graphic visuals of nudity, as long as citizens sign the requisite indemnity, freedom to express adulation for Nityananda, or however you pronounce his name, profess belief and worship his existence. Oh, yeah. Basically, he wants to set up a sex island here. I mean, how long before he doesn't commit suicide? Like Epstein. I saw the funniest meme on that today, which was an Epstein Christmas ornament, which read, "This didn't hang itself." It was so good. Sticking in the Middle East, how about a camel hospital? Apparently there is one now. Dubai's Camel Hospital. It's a $10 million state-of-the-art facility that has attracted the attentions of camel connoisseurs from around the world, are really, really starting to make money. The Dubai Camel Hospital is the only advanced medical facility dedicated to treating camels in the whole world, says Ali Reda, Director General of DHC, although Qatar opened a hospital and breeding center in 2015. Since opening in 2017, the DHC has proved popular with camels coming from as far afield as Northern Emirates and even Oman. So popular that it is now set to expand by 50% to cope with the demand. We've grown considerably thanks to word spreading on the incredible medical advances that take place here, and the result speaks for themselves, says Radia. Yeah, apparently camels are beloved in the United Arab Emirates and an important part of the country's heritage, with more than 300,000 camels in the country. According to the DHC, or DCH, industries that showcase the animals have been flourishing in recent years, such as government-sponsored beauty competitions and racing. The latter is among the most popular sports in the region, especially among Emiratis. Traditionally, Bedouins use camels for food, milk, transport, but now the population has increased dramatically because camels are being bred for racing. Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Wonder how the camels get health care down there. Well, apparently, camels valued so highly, it's no surprise that the owners have welcomed High Tech Hospital, which exclusively treats their pets. It's staffed by 65 employees, can treat up to 22 camels simultaneously, with equestrian medical equipment from Europe, and the modified U.S. half-ton beasts have their way at the hospital. Wonder what the food's like. All right. Call it a tale of science and daring do. An international team of researchers has spent 6 years fanning the globe, gathering thousands of samples of wild relatives of crops. Their goal? To preserve genetic diversity that could help key crops survive in the face of climate change. At times, the work put these scientists into some pretty extreme situations. 2 years ago, Hannes Dempwolf, the plant geneticist, found himself in a rainforest in Nepal at the foot of the Himalayas. He was riding on the back of an elephant to avoid snakes on the ground and to scare away any tigers that might be lurking about. Then all of a sudden, an attack came from above. There were these leeches dropping on us from all directions, Dempwolf recalls, blood-sucking leeches. Now, this is far from where he thought he would be when he got his PhD, but as a senior scientist and head of global initiatives at the Crop Trust, Dempwolf has been overseeing an ambitious international collaboration. More than 100 scientists in 25 countries have been, where did I lost my spot there? In 25 countries have been venturing out to collect wild relatives of domesticated crops like lentils, potatoes, chickpeas, and rice, people that rely on those products from around the world. The Crop Trust detailing the results in a new report of this massive effort, which secured more than 4,600 seed samples of 371 wild relatives of key domesticated crops that the world relies on. Delays are pretty much the norm when it comes to NASA. You ever notice that? Yeah, that's just like the upcoming launch of Boeing's unscrewed Starliner. Uncrewed, not unscrewed. Or it could be screwed, I don't know. Well, yeah, apparently it's been pushed back, the launch, to December 19th. It's due to a purge air supply issue with United Launch Alliance's Atlas V rocket. Or is that Atlas V? Atlas V or Atlas V? Anyways, ULA issued an update saying additional time was needed for the ULA and Boeing teams to complete an analysis of the issue, replace the duct, and complete process ahead of launch. You know what worries me about things like this? It always goes to the lowest bidder. That's what worries me. The 2-day delay is minor compared with some of the rescheduled launch dates we've already seen. The test flight was originally set to happen as early as March 2019. Both the rocket and the spacecraft are healthy and moving through standard pre-launch proceedings, says Boeing. Boeing is hoping to prove Starliner's space-worthiness with his orbital flight test before launching, according to the NASA group, and they want to do this before they put actual astronauts and take them to the ISS, likely in 2020. Boeing's upcoming flight test will mark a major milestone for the program. If it is successful, we'll just have to wait a couple of days. Remember when we did all of this in the 70s? I don't, because I wasn't born. But it's like we've already done all this, isn't it? Haven't we been here before? Isn't this false excitement? I don't know. Anyways, officials issue a stay-out-of-the-water warning for a Hawaii beach after a tiger shark bit into a man's inflatable paddleboard and aggressively chased him back to shore. The Hawaiian Department of Land and Natural Resources said Larry Oberto, a part-time Maui resident, was stand-up paddleboarding off the coast of Kihei when the tiger shark bit into and deflated his inflatable board. Fellow paddleboarder Al Gaston pulled Oberto onto his board and the men headed to shore. They then reported that the shark was acting very aggressively and pursued them to safety. Officials say a stay out of the water warning is good for people, and it will be there for the next few days surrounding the water from Cove Park to Waipulani Park. Okay, never been there, so don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. This is why you don't go in the ocean, people. These sharks were meals. I mean, the sharks don't deserve to be killed. That's their area. But I sure as heck am not going to be killed by them either. Marty, where's my clown? Find it at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What's been your most incredible paranormal / supernatural experience of 2019? Derek, watching Hellier, Season 2. Michael, there's a haunted abandoned train tunnel on the southern coast of New South Wales, and I heard something whistle near in my ear when I was there. Then I fell, but my mate thinks I freaked myself out and tripped. But who knows? The picture on my profile is me outside the tunnel. Michael Horn. Yeah, he loves his Billy Meyer. So far, it's been seeing how much absolutely irrelevant, superficial, and pointless content and disinformation you promote, when the truth is far more fascinating as well as important. And he goes and puts a bunch of links to his website. Taro, joining the Space Travelers Club. Yes, everybody should do that. Everybody listening should do that. That would be kind of cool. We'd have a good chat in there. Very good chat. All right, let's move over to Facebook. Debbie, my mom apporting a scarf to me after she had passed. Ooh, that's interesting. Zion, waking up from a nap and having my computer screen turn on by itself, and I kept getting up to go turn it off. It happened 3 times in a row within a 2-hour nap. Robin, my parents' room door shook because the wind, when I was going past it, in the other room, I heard 2 heavy knocks on their door and the handle shuffling. Oh, that's scary. Kelly, where I work, one building is very active. Footsteps, things being pushed off coffee tables, ladies' voices, and doors slamming. Sounds like my house when my mother-in-law is here. Brian, simple. That people actually believe everything from the To the Stars Academy. Gail. Oh, nothing out of the ordinary. Stuff disappearing, then reappearing. Fragrances out of nowhere, knocking on an outside wall. Something pushing me over, etc. Same old, same old. William. Easy. The rare occasion that someone in the UFO community uses some critical thinking to analyze some information, at the very least, an out-of-the-ordinary occurrence. Rose. So many to choose from, being touched and talked to at the same time. Voice was recorded, but unless someone can enhance it, I can't make out what the voice is saying. Gabe, I seen these shadow creatures running at cheetah speed. They look like giant squirrels because their tail resembled a squirrel. These things were huge, and the 3 of them ran at top speed into a famous restaurant called the Kumo I live near. Creepy as hell. Kelly, a female voice saying, ouch, in my living room when my wife and I were in the bedroom. A very old snow globe falling off a dresser, with 3 feet of dresser to go before falling off. A big pair of lips on our shower door. Something is following one of us. We are the first tenants in our apartment. Nick, this was about a month ago, and I figure it's a dream, but I will share it anyways. Earlier in the evening, my cat Whiskey was being extra clingy, which is weird because she's kind of a loner. Went to bed, woke up at 2:30 on the dot, and went downstairs to get some water. And when I walked through the living room, I thought I'd seen someone in my yard. I could not get back to sleep. I ended up looking out my window at this pinpoint of light, thought it was a star of some sort, but seemed too bright. And then I had this overwhelming feeling of tiredness over me. And I fought as hard as I could to keep looking at it. But I felt pushed into falling asleep. You know what? It's a long story. I got to get out of here. But Nick, you got aliens. You got aliens, man. Take care of those. Thank you for everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We'll do it all again on Facebook and Twitter tomorrow. And I look forward to reading your responses as well. Thank you, Captain Shirk, for getting a great news package put together for us. All our news can be found on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on the SOR Newswire. Big thank you to Jeremy Puma and his fantastic beard from Liminal Earth, with some great stories that people have submitted to them. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms, on LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for making it a fun night. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Tomorrow night, David Politis, Missing 411 Hunters and Missing 411 Canada, his new book. We'll talk to you tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing show. Good night.